Crawford have something in common. You both sparred with Pacquiao. How was that experience sparring with Pacquiao?
Oh, that was great, man. I remember I was the very first guy to spar him in camp. I was real nervous. You know, he has that unexpected speed and power. You know, he'll be real relaxed, and all of a sudden, boom! You don't even know where the punch is coming from. He'll just throw straight, and his punches are like solid. You know, they're not snappy. They're just like feel like bricks coming at you. Boom! Hard punches.
It felt like bricks with you.
Yeah.
What size gloves do you have on?
We spar with 16-ounce gloves.
16 ounce, and you still felt the.
I felt his power. His strongest punch was that straight left hand. So he'll be like, it'll be so unexpected because he'll be moving side to side, and then whop, he'll just throw it out of the blue.
So hard to get his rhythm and timing down?
Yeah, it's very hard to get his timing down because sometimes he'll be like, he'll go back to the ropes, he'll relax and let you hit him. You know, he'll be like, come on, you know, talking to you a little bit, and then all of a sudden he'll just like, let his hands go.
I just want to thank the people for giving me that. I went from 49,000 subscribers to about 50. I got 50 subscribers. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm on Pacquiao's Facebook page. He has a big fight coming up. Big enough. He's a senator. He's a fighter. And November 5th, it goes down. Thomas and Mack Center. He's fighting Jesse Vargas, WBO champion. Now, that's a welterweight fight. Jesse Vargas is the champion. And I'll probably do an Ego Weight Watchers video on Jesse Vargas sometime soon. Now, Yahoo Sports just did a great interview with Bob Arum in a write-up. Link in the description in case you guys want to check that out. And Kevin Iole did the write-up. He was speaking with Bob Arum. And the title of the article is Marquee Fights Await Pacquiao If He Can Find His Knockout Power. And it's a good write-up. He was talking to Bob Arum about potential Pacquiao fights, right? If he gets past Jesse Vargas. And one of the things that they talked about this is Bob Arum, he talked about Al Haymon. He says Al Haymon has a good stable of fighters. He has some good fighters. And I am open to working with him. And I love to hear that. He was talking about the Pacquiao Vargas, how they're taking over the distribution instead of HBO. He says we're positioned tremendously well. And he said he's saving some of the fees and whatnot. But he goes on to talk about Pacquiao fights. And he says he's open to working with Al Haymon and PBC, Haymon Boxing. Guys like Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and are all being mentioned for that. He says we look at Haymon as a guy who manages a lot of good fighters, and if any of them would fit as opponents for our guys, we'd be interested in talking. There is no animosity between us. The door is open, right? And he says the fact that we're doing pay-per-views ourselves takes the network equation out of it and makes it much simpler to make a deal, which is a very good point. They're going the UFC route, and if the Pacquiao Vargas fight is a success and they generate money and they see they can have a star like Pacquiao and do it without HBO's help, then I mean, why would you go back to HBO to have them distribute it? You know what I mean? Especially with towards the end, like Pacquiao Bradley 3, they weren't even doing full like HBO 24/7s and face-offs for that third fight. So I mean, if you can cut the corner and do it all in-house, you know, Bob Arum's the king of in-house, so it sounds like that's something he might try to explore. But this is the good part where he goes on to talk about the other welterweights. A guy like Danny Garcia would be an interesting opponent. Keith Thurman, he would be a possibility as long as the guys don't price themselves out. We'd be interested. Haymon and I worked hard to try to get Adrian Broner, man, you know, AB, for this November 5th fight. We're open to putting Manny in the fights the public wants to see, and we're not closing any doors, right? And for the full write-up and breakdown, check Yahoo Sports. And I want to give my thoughts on it. I like what I'm hearing, especially the idea of working with Al Haymon. Top rank, I keep saying it, and Al Haymon have the biggest stables in the boxing game, period. There's no other company that I think has the level of talent pool as those stables. Now, you know what I mean, K2 has Golovkin, and you got a guys sprinkled out, Canelos with Golden Boy, but I'm talking about per capita. You know what I mean? Top rank has Nicholas Walters, Vasil Lomachenko. They have up-and-comers like Oscar Valdez, Felix Verdejo, right? They got a ton of guys. Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, Brandon Rios maybe. There's a ton of guys that they have. And Nonito Donaire, Jesse Magdaleno. They just signed an Olympian, Michael Connellan. I did a video about him yesterday. He has his first fight in Madison Square Garden. He has a whole demographic of fans because he's from Ireland. And he's a talented fighter. You know what I mean? He has an Olympic background. Then obviously we all already know Al Haymon, the Errol Spence, the Keith Thurman, Broner, Danny Garcia, Floyd, and J-Rock, Charlo Brothers, Deontay Wilder, list goes on. So without a doubt, those are the two biggest stables in boxing. So if they start working together, that will be a fan's wet dream. You know what I mean? This is what we want to see. Now, I am a bit apprehensive because why would Arum wait to do this interview 3 weeks before Pacquiao's fighting Jesse Vargas when it's common knowledge at this point that both guys on the Haymon side that he says they're willing to work with now are supposed to be fighting in March 2017 if Danny Garcia gets past Samuel Vargas next month, I think it is, which he clearly should be a heavy favorite in that fight. So that's the only thing I'm kind of skeptical. It sounds like this might be a plot to build this particular fight with Jesse Vargas because the two people you said, Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, they're a done deal to fight each other. At least that's what Danny Garcia is saying, and Keith Thurman's posting on his social media, I can't wait till March and stuff like that. So I'm trying to be optimistic. I want to see it. This could be somewhat of a plot to promote the fight. Like, yeah, tune in to Jesse Vargas and Pacquiao. You know what I mean? And if they tune in, the promoters have done this for a while. It's kind of like you tune in, you don't want to miss it because you know the implications. Like Danny Garcia. Nobody really wants to see him fight Samuel Vargas. I know I don't. It's not a good fight. Maybe people in Philly want to see him get a knockout or something. But I'm not checking for that fight for the right reasons. I'm checking for it because I know if he looks good in that fight, that Keith Thurman should be next. You know what I mean? According to everybody on that side. You know what I mean? So sometimes promoters promote based on the implications. Like, hey, check out this Jesse Vargas fight. If Pacquiao gets the belt from Jesse Vargas, he'll be a welterweight WBO champion again. And then now we can make these big fights. So we don't know. Also, Pacquiao's in a different position because he's a senator, right? Next picture I click on, he's doing senatorial duties. Stick with the truth and your story will always be consistent. You know what I mean? So he's doing his senator stuff. So I don't know how available he would be, right? Maybe Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman can fight and then have that scrap in March, and then Pacquiao wouldn't even be available until after that. So we don't really know these things. But I'm definitely going to watch the Jesse Vargas fight. Pacquiao usually does good against guys who fight similar to Jesse Vargas. Now, I don't know if he's fought anyone in recent memory that's exactly like Jesse Vargas. Vargas is very durable, very tough, much taller than him, good experience, things like that. And I agree with the Yahoo Sports article. If Pacquiao can get a stoppage, produce a magic, or emphatically win and beat Jesse Vargas, who looked good versus Saddam Ali, right? Who almost shot Timothy Bradley in the 12th round, then that'll be a huge statement. 2 back-to-back very good bounce-back post-Floyd Mayweather loss performances. Pacquiao knocked Bradley down twice, looked good and sharp in that fight. And then if he beats a champion like Jesse Vargas, who's never been stopped. So if Pacquiao stops him, for example, hypothetically, of course, then that's definitely going to beckon for the better fights or big fights, bigger. I'll say not even necessarily better, but just bigger money fights. The Broners, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurmans, or Terence Crawford. I really want to see the Terence Crawford fight. And that's an in-house fight, especially they're doing the distribution with Top Rank. So, yeah, I mean, things could get good. And this, to me, this is what boxing needs. A lot of people, they couldn't wait to get Floyd out of the sport. Oh, this fucking dickhead. Floyd's ruining it. And then now he's out of the sport. He got pushed out or left or whatever. And big fights still aren't getting made in certain situations. Anthony Joshua, Klitschko, they're arguing over a belt. There's almost $40 million. $50 million? What do you think you got, Chelsea Clinton? Chelsea Carter? You know what I'm saying? They're dealing with 35, 40, $50 million plate, and they're arguing over a belt. Klitschko don't need no belt per se. You know what I mean? He's a champion that was dominant for almost a decade. You know what I'm saying? and that fight is hanging in the balance based on a belt, right? Golovkin and Danny Jacobs, oh, maybe next year. You know what I mean? It's the Canelo Triple G, oh, maybe next year. So it's funny to me. The boxing game needs big fights. They need the Pacquiaos, the guys like Canelo, Triple G, who are active to be fighting in the fights we really truly want to see. No more like Chris Algieri and Pacquiao Vargas. It's somewhat acceptable because he's a champion, never been stopped, but it's not the fight that the fans wanted. A fight with Terence Crawford, I think, is just overall bigger, and it's more of a threat stylistically to what Pacquiao struggles with, and also we might be able to see what Crawford struggles with. Crawford's toughest fight to me to date, Yuriorkis Gamboa, and I talked to Crawford. He said the same thing. So why would I not want to see Pacquiao? Similar, been fighting bigger guys, athletic as hell. Pacquiao has a better chin than Gamboa to me. He has speed. He has more frenetic movement, awkward movement than Gamboa. Gamboa has good upper body movement, but Pacquiao is his own animal. You know what I mean? You guys seen the clip at the beginning with my dude Stan Martin, who sparred with Pacquiao. He says he just explodes out of nowhere. Pause. Goes from 0 to 60. So let me know what you guys think. The future needs big fights, and Pacquiao is one of the biggest fighters in the last decade or of this generation, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully the right fights get made and we get to see that, and hopefully Pacquiao can juggle and balance the whole being a senator mixed with being a fighter, because I know that probably can't be hard or can't be easy. So I'm gonna just wrap it up. That's what Bob Arum is saying. Let me know if you think they'll happen. Keith Thurman, Pacquiao, oh my man, I would love to see. I would pay top dollar, whatever top rank, I mean within reason of course, whatever they were charging for that on Top Rank pay-per-view, I would pay for it, right? So Danny Garcia, another good fight. I like all of them. It's just I gotta see it. But I do like that he's talking about Haymon, because it's not always been that case. Sometimes it was like kind of like F Haymon, I'm not working with him. But now I think Bob Arum, being a smart businessman, he realizes that he needs to probably work with the other biggest promoter, advisor, whatever you want to call him, in the game. And the lawsuit is squashed. He said there's no hard feelings, the door is open. I like that talk, and I think that's how fights get made. So it's a good starting point. The rest is actually closing the deal and getting the people in, because Arum saying little things like, oh, as long as these guys don't price themselves out, kind of what is pricing themselves out, you know what I mean? Because Arum has to realize these other young stars like Danny Garcia, his dad's kind of loud and stuff like that. Keith Thurman, these are perceived threats, so they do bring something to the table. Broner, they bring something to the table. You can't no longer, it's not like David Diaz versus Pacquiao. People would be rooting for Broner and Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman too, so you can't chump them out. And that's how a lot of these fights seem to be falling apart, is because this whole A side, like Lomachenko deserves so much more money than Nicholas Walters. Even if you gave him more, that's cool, but should the split really be 300,000 to 500,000 more for Lomachenko when Walters has more pro fights, has big names and stoppages, guys like Nonito Donaire has never been stopped? So that's basically it. Hopefully politics don't come into play and we get to see these good fights. Drop it in the comments section. Let me know what you think of Pacquiao possibly fighting Haymon fighters like Danny Garcia, maybe Keith Thurman, maybe Adrian Broner, or top ranked fighter Terence Crawford. Drop that in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.